Good evening. How are you doing? So, I am going to do a bit of a recap of what happened in the past week. I have shared on my WhatsApp platform about my 3-day fasting. So, yes, I did a 3-day fast for which I planned ahead of time. Very important to always plan for any fast that you're doing, especially if it's an extended fast. I went into the 3-day fast on a week ago. Today's, 6 days ago, Sunday. And I continued, actually, not for the full 72 hours because of the timing. I was a bit out with my timing in terms of when I needed to break the fast, how long I needed to eat, as well as looking at sunset and sleeping time. So I fasted for 70 hours. I started on my fast from the Saturday night to the Sunday. That was my first 24. And I think it was just mind over matter that it was actually a difficult 24 compared to all other 24 hours of fasting that I do every week. I always do a 24-hour fast, like once a week. It's much more easier. I think it was the thought of the 24 being part of the 72. But nonetheless, what I did was I also did I did my blood sugar and my ketones twice a day. I'm following Dr. Mindy Pelz on this fasting, and she recommended 3 times a day. But because I don't have a device, I did it at the clinic twice a day. During the fast, we are allowed to take water, black coffee, black teas. In Saudi Arabia, we have Saudi coffee, which is calorie-free, no sugars added. It's made from cardamom, so I added Saudi coffee to my fasting regime. Electrolytes, nut butter, ghee. What was else? Goodness. Yeah, I think that was MCT oil. We could have that. There was a recommended energy bits, something to take for energy, as well as a protein bar, but I wasn't able to get that. However, I also cooked a bone broth, my own homemade bone broth from beef bones and chicken feet. First time I've ever cooked chicken feet in my whole life. Nonetheless, on the first day, I just had water, coffees, and tea, and I had one of my electrolytes at work. And in the evening, I had some bone broth, the electrolyte, another electrolyte, a little bit of nut butter, MCT oil with my night medication so that I could have a bit of satiety so I could sleep all night. I slept well. Second day came around. It was better. I didn't feel hungry. There was an emptiness on my stomach. Ketones definitely increased. Blood sugar dropped. I think at the end of the day, my blood sugar was 75 or so, or 76, I forget, but it was in the 70s. What I did was I came home, I had electrolytes, I had nut butter, and I took a slow walk, about a 1 kilometer walk at sunset so I could catch the sunset as well. So I, killed 2 birds with one stone. And during the walk, I did some calf raises so that I could release some glucose naturally from my stored glucose in my muscle. And I carried on with bone broth, nut butter, MCT oil in the evening. So that was my 48 hours. When I slept that second night, I actually didn't sleep well. I was disturbed by a tingling sensation all over my body. Every muscle in my body was like tingling, as if there was little electricity being released from all neurons in my muscles. That's how it felt. So I was up not up as awake frequently. Nonetheless, I survived until morning, and day 3 came around. I took my nut butter to work, took MCT oil to work, but I never had the MCT oil, electrolytes. And when I left work, my ketones on day 3 was 1.9, and my blood sugar was 64. I wasn't too worried about it. Everybody else was. I felt so clear in my brain. My brain was like ticking over. I could think clearly. I wasn't feeling foggy. I wasn't feeling weak or anything. And when I came home, I then decided, because looking at, like I said, at the timing, that I was going to break my fast at 70 hours, which I did. And the breaking of fast was also well planned. So I broke my fast with, water was always there. So I had water. I had bone broth, 250 to 300 mils of bone broth, sauerkraut. And I ate all of these things like 15 to 30 minutes apart. Yogurt, Greek yogurt. It wasn't fermented yogurt, but Greek yogurt. The one I had was with some 10% fat. And I added some cinnamon to it because I love me a cinnamon just for flavor. After about 30 minutes from there, I then ate my steamed vegetables, which was mushrooms, red onion, and cabbage. And I had a little bit of carrots with it as well as butternut. Very strategic vegetables because those are prebiotic vegetables. My probiotics was the sauerkraut and the yogurt. Then after I had settled with that, I added to it some olive oil and just a twist of my Himalayan salt for just salts. The last thing I had for the evening, I took a while to eat, to get to eat it, because I didn't want to rush into it after the vegetables, was 3 fried eggs in ghee with a seeded sourdough bread. And that's what I had for the evening. I didn't want to eat any meats, anything. I had my nighttime meds with electrolytes before I went to bed, and I actually slept so well. It was the best sleep I've ever had. Actually, all week since then, I've slept well. Solid without waking up at 3 or anything like that. So that was my 3-day fast. It was truly amazing. I enjoyed doing it. I can only stress the fact that you have to be prepared for the fast. Be prepared to break the fast. Know that when you're fasting, you have to not do strenuous exercises, just gentle walking. I took in lots of sun during those 3 days. I went out morning, noon, and I took evening strolls or just went out into the sunset. I think it was just an opportunity for me to reset my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul, and get into this new 2026 with a new energy. And I loved it. I would recommend to anybody who'd like to do such a restart, any fast of any kind, and especially from a spiritual perspective, is recommended. However, read up, understand, and be prepared. Don't just think you can go into any fast. I've had quite a few people engage with me on the topic of fasting. And for me, I planned, I think it was almost 2 weeks of planning just for the 3-day fast. And I followed the work of Dr. Mindy Pelz, and she gave out which I registered for, a 3-day sheet for her initial 3-day fast, which I couldn't do the week before because I never had everything I required. So I did it the week after. But nonetheless, it was well worth it. I would recommend it to anybody. However, if you do have any disease, or a lifestyle disease, hypertension, cardiac, kidney, anything that you're using medication for, please have your physician know that you want to do it. Then also, if you haven't done fasting, test yourself before you go into a long fast with 12 hours and work slowly towards a longer fast and a longer fast, okay? Don't just go straight into a 3-day fast or anything longer than that. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you're able to reach your target of fasting so that you can live healthier, stronger lives for longer.